Most of the time, designers, they solve problems. Most of you might be doing that. But the problem is you cannot explain business value. You cannot talk about it. This becomes very, very important. The communication becomes very, very important because ultimately you are working for a business. Whatever you want to do, they will allow you to do, or it will make sense for you to do only if it is giving business impact, or else none of this will matter. Whatever decisions you make, whatever interactions you make, none of it matter if it doesn't give you good business impact, right? See, even as a designer, you can absolutely do all these things in a completely idealistic manner. It is possible. And in fact, we do such activities in companies also. We actually call it as North Star design, where we say, we will consider everything as ideal and we will design for the best user experience. We'll not worry whether the business can actually do it or not. We call it as a North Star experience. If you want to write down, you write it down. Okay. It is also important that you are able to function in such a way that you can build the North Star experience. But it is also important that you can function in such a way that you will design with the constraints of a business. You can design for ideal experience and you can also design for the constraints of a business, because in a real business, money is a constraint, time is a constraint, developers are a constraint. Let's say you want to build an amazing feature, but your developers cannot build it. They can build it, but it'll take, let us say, 2 years to build that particular feature. Will your company implement it? I'll give you you have an amazing architecture for your building graph, but none of the builders can build it. What will you do? Either get a very good builder or just live with what they can do. Correct? Time becomes money here. Everything can be done, no doubt. It takes a lot of time. You don't have that money, right? You're limited. So that means when we're talking about real business, we need to always talk about constraints. As a designer, you can go break the constraints and do whatever you want. You should have that ability. Because whenever a business comes to you and say, Arey, imagine I have a lot of money. Imagine the developers can do everything. Can you give me a great concept? You should be able to give. But even if the comments say that, hey, you know what, we are limited by these things. We have this technology only. We have only this much amount of time. We have only 2 days time. Can you do something? Yes, you should be able to do something in 2 days. I'm clearing many misconceptions over here. Anudeep, my company doesn't allow me to follow the entire design, UX design process. They don't allow me to do all these things. They always give me only 2 days work. Probably sometimes they give only 1 day work. Yes, you should be able to do it in 1 day. Because it's all about taking decisions. Whether you want to do it, you don't want to do it, you want to make quick decisions, fast decisions, riskier decisions, it's in your hand. You take it in 1 day, whatever is possible in 1 day, you do it. You have more time, make it more idealistic towards idealistic. You have less time, design for the constraints. Okay, all we have is 1 day. And I'm saying you should be able to deliver in 1 day. Why should you agree? Tell me.
That's our job.
No.
For the money. Because business requires.
No, because it's not just because your job or just you are like labor or you're like a slave. That's not the reason. You need to empathize the business. All they have is 1 day, and having more number of days is more riskier. They can launch a very imperfect feature now and probably save on the money and the funding and learn more rather than spending 1 week or spending 2 months to do the same experiment, which will not be very profitable. So when you always use lesser amount of time, a business saves a lot of money. So therefore, you always need to have techniques in which you will deliver in a very, very fast time as well. But there are going to be times where you take 1 week time, but what you will deliver will be much, much, much better and makes company a lot of more money than what they can possibly can in that 1 day. In those cases, you go fight for that 1 week time. And then you can ask me, Anudeep, then why is this fighting not working for me in my particular company? The answer is very simple. In your fights, you're not understanding the real constraints of a business. You want to design an ideal experience, but the company cannot build it. They don't have those developers. You're not understanding it, but you want to spend 1 month's time building the ideal experience because you think in your portfolio, ideal experience, what matters. No, the other company is not hiring you because you designed an ideal experience. You did not design an experience with the constraints of a business. These are truth bombs. Your portfolio is a failure because there are no real constraints in your project.
Actually, I'm relating it to my condition.
Yeah. Which business wants a designer who only can design for ideal experiences? Great. But can you design for the constraints? You need to prove that in your projects as well. That means you need to impose constraints. You need to think about those constraints. Don't worry, I'm there, right? Since I have all this for you and I've done this for many years.
I want to figure it out. Right? Although I got it that ideal things won't be there, but I want to know how to design things in the constraint conditions.
Going towards some ideal experience, right, requires you to think a lot. Think, and that is actually called as divergent thinking. Note this down. building idealistic experiences, you need to think a lot. What all possible options, what all things can have hundreds of screens, everything what the user can need and imagine is actually called as divergent thinking. And designing with constraints, with the real constraints of a company, limited time, limited money, limited resources, limited technology, designing for these constraints and limited by your own ideologies, by your own time, your own patience, designing for all these limitations is actually called as convergent thinking. Divergent thinking, convergent thinking, divergent thinking, convergent thinking. What is this? Yeah,
Double diamond.
Double diamond.
right? If you look at it, the diamond is like this. Right? Very simple. Here, you are diverging. These are divergence. Here, you are converging. Right? You do it 2 times, it becomes double diamond. You do it 3 times, it becomes triple diamond. You do it 100 times, it becomes 100 diamonds. Right? A common practice is to do it 2 times. That's why they've given it as double diamond. But our job is simply to have the ability to think divergent and the ability to think convergent. When? Only 2 times? No. Anytime. Anytime. Let's say you want to get good ideas. Think divergent. Get a lot of ideas. Then think convergent. What is possible right now? You want to make screens. Make 100 screens. But again, convergent. What is possible to be developed right now? Convergent. Yeah? If you have to make money out of it, and if you have to be valued by a particular business, you need to understand how to design for the constraints of a business, and also if the constraints of the business are not there. You have both the abilities to be able to design in a divergent manner, to be able to design in a convergent manner. Then you are a very, very valuable resource. You have the practice of doing both, not just understanding. You have the practice, okay? Which will take months, but let me tell you, you have the practice. Given a divergent exercise, you can do amazing North Star design. Given a convergent exercise, you will be able to deliver in that particular limited time and with those resources and those constraints and explain it beautifully. Okay, that's when you become very valuable. Okay, nice.